And welcome back to the Word Conscious Classroom, where we are consciously and deliberately building our students' vocabulary knowledge and word consciousness. Today, we are doing a language review. We will be looking at linking verbs. Linking verbs do not show action. They connect the subject to the predicate. Okay, so the subject is what the sentence is talking about, and the predicate is the action, what the subject is doing. So we have linking verbs that help the predicate connect better to the subject. Some examples of linking verbs are words like am, be, have, do, is, being, has, does, are, been, had, did, we, and were. We also have some linking verbs that kind of help, so we call them helping verbs. And so they are can, may, will, could, might, shall, would, must, should. So let's give you an example of how this works. We have lucky. Lucky is. So is our linking verb. So remember we said linking verbs do not show action. Lucky is not really showing an action. They connect the subject to the predicate. So lucky is. This is going to be a connector, and it's going to connect to something that completes the sentence. So lucky is maybe a subject describer. Lucky is fat, or lucky is adorable. Maybe we're going to connect it to a predicate expander. Lucky is where? Outside. Or maybe we're going to connect it to a predicate. So lucky is running. Or we can connect it to a what or a whom. So lucky is what? A collie or a bulldog. So when we look at linking verbs, we can see how they help us to make better sentences. Lucky is adorable. That is our subject describer. And that's what we saw here. We're describing lucky. We could say lucky is where? Beside the table. So that's our predicate expander. We could say lucky is doing what? Predicate, eating. So now we just said lucky is eating. And then we could say lucky has what? Fleas. So this is helping us take a look at linking verbs. Now when you are using linking verbs, you must make sure that your sentences make sense. So we've been doing some proofreading. We've been checking for capitalization and punctuation and spelling. But today we are going to focus on language review. Does it make sense? So here we have my uncle are an auto mechanic. So we have uncle being the subject, and here's our predicate. In this case, we have a linking verb that is connecting to my uncle are an auto mechanic. So that's telling us the what. What is your uncle? But that doesn't make sense for our language review. My uncle are is used for more than one person. We are. They are. This is just one person. So it should be my uncle is. Now that's better. My uncle is what? An auto mechanic. So now that makes sense. Okay, let's see if this makes sense. The flight crew are very helpful. So we have flight crew is our subject, are our linking verb, are what? Very helpful. Okay, now flight crew, crew is one group of people. So will we say the flight crew is or the flight crew are? Well, this would be is because we're talking about one specific crew. So the flight crew is very helpful. Now, if we were talking about more than one, the flight crews on the different airplanes, then that would be are. But we're only talking about one crew. So now it makes sense. Let's try this one. The tray were in the kitchen. Let's focus on our language review. We have tray as our subject. Were was one of those linking verbs that we saw. In the kitchen. So that tells us where. The tray were in the kitchen. Does it make sense? No. The tray were? No. Tray is singular, so that's one. So that would be the tray was in the kitchen. That makes sense. If we have more than one tray, the trays were, but we only have one tray. So the tray was in the kitchen. That makes sense. Okay, and let's try one more. My brother's friends is funny. Let's focus on the language review. Brothers is our subject. Friends. Oh, so this is a subject describer. The subject is friends, but they're describing friends by saying my brother's friends. Is. Here's our helping verb. Funny. Okay, does it make sense? My brother's friends is. No. If it was my brother's friend, if it was singular, then we would use is. But because it's more than one friend, my brother's friends, then we have to say are. My brother's friends are what? Funny. So this will be the what. And that makes sense. Okay, so today in the language review, we focused on linking verbs. And linking verbs do not show action. They connect the subject to the predicate. Okay, keep tuning in because next time we're going to be looking at more grammar. Grammar helps you build word consciousness.